One, look very carefully at what is happening inside the Indiana Fever front office. Pay attention to the smiles at press conferences, the official statements, and the way everything sounds perfectly controlled. The claim here is that they are not being fully honest with the fans. Instead of problems happening across the whole league, the biggest issue is now happening inside their own organization. This situation is being presented as something that could completely change how people look at the Indiana Fever. According to this viewpoint, the mainstream sports media is trying to make everything sound normal, especially when it comes to free agency decisions. They want fans to believe that General Manager Amber Cox, President Kelly Krakoff, and head coach Stephanie White are only making difficult basketball decisions like any other team would. They also want people to believe that keeping veteran players is just part of normal roster planning. But this perspective argues that there is something much bigger going on behind the scenes. It says these are not simple basketball choices at all, but financial decisions that could seriously hurt the team in the future. The main fear being pushed here is that the organization may actually choose Kelsey Mitchell over Caitlin Clark, and that idea is being described as something shocking that fans need to think about very seriously.
Maybe it's not even a mistake on their end. Stephanie White has already come out and said how Kelsey Mitchell is the number one priority and how she wants to build this team around Kelsey Mitchell. And if they are committing to giving her...
The argument continues by saying that the way the team is talking about his plans already shows disrespect toward Caitlin Clark. For example, when head coach Stephanie White said publicly that keeping Kelsey Mitchell is the top priority, some people saw that as a very strong message. Instead of building the team around a younger superstar who brings huge attention and popularity, the team appears to be focusing on a 29-year-old scorer. Supporters of this theory believe that Caitlin Clark has brought massive attention, new fans, and huge media value to the franchise. They feel she helped bring the team back into the spotlight and increased interest in the entire league. Because of that, they believe the organization should clearly treat her as the most important player on the roster. When the coach talks about another player as the main priority, it creates suspicion that the team is trying to reduce Clark's importance or control her influence. The big question raised here is why a team would risk upsetting the player who is bringing in the most attention and financial value. The explanation given in this argument is that the real reason might be connected to money and contract rules rather than basketball performance.
Philippou, the new CBA, will allow high-performing players on rookie contracts to earn larger fourth-year salaries, all right? Players who make all WNBA first or second team in their first 3 years can make the max in the fourth year.
The final point focuses on the financial side of the situation and how the new WNBA contract rules could affect the team. The argument says that the updated collective bargaining agreement has changed rookie contracts and made it possible for young stars to earn much more money if they perform at an elite level early in their careers. If Caitlin Clark wins MVP soon, she could become eligible for a very large long-term contract, and at the same time, Aaliyah Boston could also be in line for a major deal. When those possible salaries are added together, the claim is that the team might not be able to afford everyone at once under the salary cap. Because of this, some people believe the front office is already preparing to choose which players they want to invest in long term. If they give a big contract to Kelsey Mitchell, critics believe it could make it harder to keep other important players on the roster and might damage the team's future balance. The argument ends by saying that this is not just about basketball strategy, but about money, pride, and how the organization wants to control the story of its own success.
That's your whole goal. Let's be clear here with what the Indiana Fever's goal is. The goal of the Indiana Fever is to build up the organization and get the fans to want to lock in with them so that they can make this money.
The argument now focuses on what some people see as arrogance from the Indiana Fever front office. The idea being presented is that the organization wants fans to love the team brand more than any single player. According to this view, the front office is trying to build loyalty to the logo so that even if Caitlin Clark becomes frustrated and eventually leaves in free agency, the fans will still continue to support the team in the same way. Critics of the organization believe this is unrealistic because they feel the recent growth in attention and popularity mainly came from Clark's impact. They argue that the huge ticket sales, merchandise purchases, and television ratings are driven mostly by fans who want to watch her play. Because of this, the claim is that if she ever left for another team, the excitement around the franchise could drop very quickly. The paragraph also suggests that the people running the organization may be too focused on protecting their own reputation and proving that the team's success is because of their decisions rather than because of one player. It ends by saying that the biggest fear in this argument is not just about money or contracts, but about whether the team might try to prevent Clark from reaching achievements like the MVP award in order to avoid having to offer a very large future contract.
Here it says Caitlin Clark will become eligible for the Supermax in 2027 if she wins MVP this season. Do you think they're going to want her to make $1.7 million next season? No, which means they are going to sabotage. They are going to stay in the way. They are going to try to minimize her so that she doesn't win the MVP. She's tied with Asia Wilson as
the final argument claims that there may be a planned strategy to reduce Caitlin Clark's impact on purpose. According to this point of view, the hiring of Stephanie White is not being seen as a move to help Clark improve, but instead as a way to control how much influence she has on the team. The idea being suggested is that if Clark becomes the clear favorite to win MVP, the team might have to give her a very large contract in the future, and some critics believe the ownership may not want that financial responsibility. Because of this, the argument says the coaching staff could try to lower her statistics by changing the way the team plays. For example, the offense might focus more on Kelsey Mitchell taking a large number of shots instead of letting Clark control the game. The theory also suggests that if Clark tries to take control during games, the coaching staff could slow the pace, call timeouts, or talk about team balance in the media to reduce her importance. Supporters of this view believe the team might even risk losing games if it means her numbers stay lower and she becomes less likely to win major awards. The paragraph then argues that the smarter solution would be to build the entire team around Clark by trading other players for better defenders and role players who fit her style of play. However, it claims the front office may be too worried about criticism or too focused on protecting veteran players to make that decision. It ends by saying that when the new season starts, fans will see whether this conflict really exists or not, and it encourages viewers to keep watching closely and share their opinions about how the team will perform.